Yo, got a game here of Runick Spright versus branded Tear. Unfortunately, I was using a decade-old webcam, so I apologize for that. Anyway, here you go. I win the die roll and decide to go first, and I start things off with a Spright starter, summoning blue. Blue adds Jet, then I summon red. Then Jet grabs Smashers, I normal summon Hyperia, draw 1. Then activate Freezing Chains to summon Hugin. Hugin pitches Smashers to grab Fountain, I use it, then overlay Hugin and Hyperia into Gigantic and use this effect to summon Cap Shell from deck. I go Cap Shell and Gigantic into Elf, I cut half and draw 1 off Cap Shell, and I drew Runick Tip. I add Freezing Curses, then I activate Slumber. He banishes Twin Twister off Tip, then banishes Called By, Galaxy Cyclone, and the Tear Field spell off Slumber. Then I use Fountain, targeting Tip, Slumber, and Freezing to bottom and draw 3. Elf targets Cap Shell. I overlay Cap Shell and Jet into Genbuster, then I link red and blue into IP, and simply pass with 5 in hand. He draws for turn, goes main phase, and special summons Ecclesia. Ooh. Uses the effect, I chain Genbuster to negate and burn for 500. Cap Shell draws 1. Then he normal summons Fallen of Albaz and uses the effect, discarding Merly. I chain Freezing Curses to negate, and he chains Super Poly, discarding Opening, using Albaz and IP to summon Lubellion. He goes Lubellion effect, pitching another Merly. I chain Elf, target IP, Lubellion summons Mirajade. He enters battle phase and swings into Elf. On attack deck, I activate Slumber on Elf. I take 1600 damage, he banishes the top 3 cards of his deck. At res, I Fountain, draw 2. Main phase 2, he activates Mirajade. It resolves, banishing Elf. End of main, I Crow the Albion and he passes to me. I draw for turn, and I normal Hyperia, draw 1. I activate Super Poly, making Muddragon with Genbuster and Mirajade. He activates Mirajade. Then I just link 4 into an indestructible Unchained Abomination. Activate Tip, he banishes an Albaz. I grab Flashing Fire, then trigger Fountain to draw 2. I set 1, skip my battle phase and pass to him. He goes end phase Ecclesia to add back, he draws for turn, he specials Ecclesia, uses the effect, I chain Ash. He passes back to me, normal summon Hyperia, draw 1, then I just go battle and swing for 3k and 500. Pass back to him, he draws for turn, and he throws down a branded fusion. Oh shit, nice Ash on that Ecclesia, dumbass! He sends the 3rd Albaz and Havnus to summon Lubellion. He goes Lubellion 1, Havnus 2. I chain Freezing Curses on Lubellion, he fuses Havnus and Shiren into Kit Kalos. Kit adds Merly. He activates Kit to summon a Merly from grave, mill 8, Aluber, Adlib, Branded Fusion, Droplet, Havnus, Terraforming, Branded in Red, and Soliek. He activates Soliek as Rhino. He normals it and uses the effect, sending Shiren. And he uses it, Kit, and Rhino to make Kaleido Heart. Kaleido Heart targets Unchained Abomination to shuffle it in the deck. Then I realize I probably should have used my double pop at literally any point before this moment, and I sadly put the dog back from whence he came. He attempts to enter battle phase, and I drop the rock. Oh! He goes chain 1 Kaleido, chain 2 Merly. He summons Quiritus and Kaleido. I ask if there's anything on summon, then I Super Poly, discarding Super Poly, to fuse his 2 dudes into Garura. He activates Quiritus, and now I chain Flashing Fire to pop the Nibiru token and banish 2. I'm trying to snipe the only Albaz in his deck. Reason 1 why this is stupid. I could just pop his Albaz. Reason 2, there is no Albaz in his deck. 2 are banished, 1 is in grave. Shockingly, I don't hit Albaz, and he summons Dramaturge. At res, I Fountain to draw 2. He goes battle phase, beats over Garura, I draw again. Then he passes turn, I draw for turn, Flashing Fire the Dramaturge, banish 2. I Slumber to summon Hugin, and I use Fountain to draw 2, and with only 20 minutes left on the clock, he decides it's best that he scoop and move on to game 2. Game 2, he decides to go first, and starts things off with a Terraforming, grabbing Perla Rhino. He uses it, grabbing Rhino Heart, normals Rhino Heart and sends Havnus, triggers Havnus to fuse itself and another Havnus into hand into Kit. Kit adds Merly, uses Kit to summon Merly, mill 8. Dramaturge, Shiren, Droplet, Soliek, Branded Fusion, Galaxy Cyclone, Called By, and Albaz. He fuses Shiren and Dramaturge into Masquerade and adds another Rhino Heart with Soliek. Then uses Shiren to summon and I chain Ash. Then he passes to me, I draw for turn, I go battle phase and use Evenly, he keeps Masquerade, I use Flashing Fire to summon and activate Hugin, discarding Nib, he chains Havnus, he hits Adlib, Twin Twister, and Merly. Triggers Merly, fusing itself and Adlib into another Masquerade, I special Carrot, overlay into Gigantic, use it to summon red, I activate Fountain, and pass. He draws for turn, in standby phase I Flashing Fire to pop one of the Masquerades and banish the top 2. I hit Tragedy, and he triggers it. I chain Fountain to draw 2, he adds Aluber, and then I scoop. Even though I drew Probably the two best cards I possibly could have off of that fountain. I'm at 1400 life and he has 5 cards in hand. So in game 3, with around 10 minutes left on the clock, I go first, activating a Runick Destruction to summon Hugin. I use her effect, pitching Super Poly, then I normal summon Hyperia and draw 1. I special blue, blue gets Carrot, I special Carrot, activate Fountain, overlay Hugin and Hyperia into Gigantic, use it to summon Red Resonator. Resonator effect on Gigantic, I go Red Resonator and blue into Elf. Elf freeborns blue, then I make IP, I set 1 and pass. He draws for turn, I ask him if he has anything in draw phase, he says I do actually, and he uses Droplet, sending 1 of each type of card to make that shit unrespondable. He negates my whole field and turns off my set Eradicator. He normal summons Albaz and uses the effect, pitching Called By, fuses into Mirror Jade with my IP, and that's time in the round. Red Resonator taking another one, and that's kinda how this Locals was. 3 rounds, I went 2-1, both wins were in time because of Red Resonator. My loss was against Tri-Brigade Spright, and my changes to the deck lost me game 1, and I got hit with Spooky Dogwood game 2. Here are the changes I made to the deck. I switched around hand traps and their ratios, I removed 2 Runick cards, I added Super Poly, I took out Dark, Underworld Goddess, and Unicorn to play Soul Sweeper, Mud Dragon, and Garura. And from my experience in this Locals, I'm now convinced Underworld Goddess or Unicorn is absolutely mandatory. Having to blow up the field with Bomber Dragon as my only interaction with IP is terrible. I'm also thinking Zero Boros might be better than Bomber Dragon as well for 2 reasons. 1, if you play against back row decks and they go set 5 pass, you go Chainlink 1 Elf, Chainlink 2 IP, summon Zero Boros, summon a dude, banish the entire field, they're fucked. And reason 2, the card can just get big. With how much Runick cards banish, it can help you push for lethal and win a game the normal way. I never summoned Soul Sweeper, but I still believe this card is capable of getting you out of a tough situation. Unchained Abomination, however, is cope, and it's win more, and it's sad. Super Poly was pulling its weight pretty well, but I'm not sure the extra deck slots are worth losing when you can just play something like a Lava Golem or more consistency. Anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say. Thanks for watching.